These are some of the limited setups which I have used for contacting through the voice transponder of low Earth orbit satellites. They are a Moxon Yagi with a single feed line and kept at a fixed elevation and azimuth, CP22E VHF antenna and 40 plus 10 meter combination HF inverted V dipole antenna. What is not shown here is a homebrew VHF delta loop antenna. Here's a short video clip on that. You can see the delta loop antenna for VHF being turned manually by turning the PVC pipe on which it has been mounted. The aim is to orient the broad side of the antenna in the direction of the path of International Space Station. Before going into further details on my LEO satellite operations with limited setup, let us see what the best setup is for LEO satellites. Best would be to use a cross Yagi for VHF and UHF with circular polarization. Why circular polarization? Satellite spins and tumbles in space so that orientation of its antenna with respect to the ground station changes continuously. To avoid cross polarization between the antennas, circular polarization would be best. In addition, we will need diplexer to combine the signals from VHF and UHF cross Yagi antennas. Azimuth elevation rotator controlled by a computer software like gpredict. Full duplex highly sensitive satellite specific radio with Doppler tracking like IC9700. But all these are beyond the reach of an average LEO satellite operator in this region, and I do not have any of these. Yet the simplest setup for LEO satellites would be VHF and UHF tape measure Yagi on the same boom, two dual band handheld radios, one for TX and the other for RX, cell phone displaying a satellite tracking app mounted on the boom to facilitate pointing the antenna along the satellite path in both azimuth and elevation. Once I did try building a tape measure Yagi using this metallic tape bought online and the wooden boom which I sourced with a lot of difficulty from a mirror shop. Then I injured my hand from the cut edges of the elements. Family members asked me to abandon the project before it injures my eyes. Moreover, I do not have two handheld radios and my location was not suitable for pointing the antenna from horizon to horizon during a satellite pass. That is how I started LEO satellite operations using the CP22E VHF antenna which I had for accessing local repeaters. Height from the ground was about 9 meters. My friends told me that it will work on UHF as third harmonic. Checked the SWR and found that while it was 1.1 on VHF, it was 2.25 on UHF. Still, there would be no problem in using for reception of the downlink of International Space Station on 437.800 MHz. In fact, I have been able to work even UV satellites with uplink on UHF like AO91 occasionally. Fortunately, my IC2730A radio was full duplex, allowing reception of satellite downlink while I am transmitting. I would keep the squelch fully open on RX VFO so that the hissing noise would be heard. That is because weak satellite signals may not be strong enough to open the squelch. N2IO.com is my favorite website for checking satellite path predictions. 10-day predictions along with path direction and timing are available on that website. We have to start by inputting our grid so that it will show results for our location. Initially, I used to try only passes with elevation about 20 degrees. I listen to the downlink frequency and call back if I hear a call sign. That strategy works well in this region with very few LEO satellite operators. It would also ensure that you are not interfering with somebody else's call when your RX is not good. It would also tell me from which all regions I can expect calls, depending on the nearness to the potential operators. Our local WhatsApp group was very active in those days, and prior to each pass, someone would post the pass direction so that others can be QRV. After the pass, operators would report worked and called stations. That would help us to know the performance of our setup. Doppler tracking was done manually in my IC2730A radio using the display on Argentinian AMSAT satellite pass prediction page. The page would give instantaneous Doppler frequency for both uplink and downlink. It also mentions the CT-CSS tone to be set for some of the satellites, including International Space Station. CT-CSS tone is set prior to the pass on the uplink frequency. Though I used to tune both uplink and downlink frequencies initially, later I found that tuning is not essential on the VHF uplink because of the limited change. Moreover, my limited setup usually works only for the middle part of the pass, during which variation in VHF uplink Doppler is small. Thanks to LU4CJP, son of Pedro, for maintaining this very useful site as his father's legacy for the AMSAT community. Here is a demo of the site. This time I am using the new Argentinian AMSAT website, that is which is HTTPS, which Pedro had told me in a previous email, and I have taken that site, and you can see that I have set the grid over here. As it's a new site, I have to set the grid again, and you can see that the satellite is already in range. International Space Station is already in range. It is a 33-degree maximum elevation pass. So you can see that the elevation is already 22 degrees. I am tracking the Doppler. The new site is https mail.amsat.org.ar/pass.htm. That is a site. Maybe this has been there earlier also, the HTTPS version, but I was not aware until the site manager told me. Pedro from Argentina. Usually, Doppler frequency displayed would start at about 10 kHz above the nominal frequency on UHF for International Space Station at acquisition of signal, AOS. That would reach the nominal frequency of 437.800 MHz by about the time of closest approach in the middle of the pass. Then it would go down about 10 kHz by the time of loss of signal, LOS. Corresponding changes on the uplink VHF band would be only 5 kHz on either side, but in opposite direction. It would start 5 kHz below the nominal frequency of 145.990 MHz at AOS and go to 5 kHz above the nominal frequency at LOS. For other satellites, corresponding values will be displayed on the Argentinian AMSAT webpage. We also learned to record audio from every pass using the mic of mobile phone kept near the speaker of the radio. A review will help us to clearly understand the call signs which we sometimes missed during a busy pass. This way I could work several passes of International Space Station, 12 series of satellites which were active then, SO50 and AO91 occasionally.
CQISS, Victor Uniform to Germany, radio mic listening.
Julia Charlie. Echo 21, Echo Sherman Charlie. Echo 21, Echo Julia Charlie, Visualis. Visualis, Echo 21, Echo Julia Charlie. Echo 21, Echo Julia Charlie.
Uniform to Germany, radio mic. Echo 21, Echo Japan Charlie 59. USL Corp, thank you very much. Selfie 3, good luck.
That was one of the best recordings I got using my CP22E antenna. You would have heard Echo 21 Echo Juliet Charlie from Thailand, about 2700 km from here. View to GRM from Bangalore also came in very clearly, as well as the Morse code beacon of Aris mentioning NA1SS. Later I homebrewed a Moxon Yagi with two VHF Moxon elements comprising of driven element and reflector. 5 UHF elements on the same boom were passively coupled so that there was only a single feed line going to my full duplex IC2730A radio. It was kept at a fixed elevation of about 20 degrees. I would check the direction of satellite path from n2yo.com and position the antenna towards the azimuth of maximum elevation prior to the pass. That way I was able to work the middle 5 minutes of the 10-minute pass.
Uniform to Juliet Oscar, we to zero. We to Juliet Oscar, you're 5 by 9. Very much, Crop. Thank you very much, Crop. 73. Okay, Kaput Kap, safe car, namaste, Kap.
That was my QSO with Echo 21 Echo Juliet Charlie on Aris using my fixed elevation azimuth Moxon Yagi. Sometimes I would go on the terrace immediately outside the shack and rotate the antenna from the base of the mast even up to 4 times during the pass. This way I have been able to hear and work more stations. That was my first and so far only contact on AO-123 satellite. As the Argentinian AMSAT website did not have AO-123 or I could not find it, I used G-Predict amateur radio software for tracking AO-123 ASRTU satellite, and I already had a contact. Now I'm just showing the Doppler shift tracking. This is the Doppler shift 1400 Hertz for every 100 megahertz. So you have to multiply by 4.35 because the frequency is 435.400. So that correction has to be applied manually in my IC 2730 radio. And this is the azimuth which is being tracked, elevation, and the velocity of the satellite 7.6 kilometer per second, altitude 473 kilometer. That is slightly more than International Space Station, and the footprint is 4,766 kilometer. So this was a rather easy contact for me. This is the footprint of AO-123, and I am still within the footprint. I could easily have a contact with Echo 21, Echo Juliet Charlie from Thailand. IO-86 is another satellite with which I had some success. The advantage of IO-86, also known as LAPAN-82, is that it has a power output of 5 watts like the International Space Station. It has an orbit along the equatorial region, but varying slightly in nearness to my location. Usually IO-86 is activated only when the satellite enters the region of Indonesia, the parent country. Then it is difficult for me as it is near LOS for me and signals are not that great. Occasionally it gets activated earlier and then I can comfortably work local stations. Though I have not been able to establish full two-way contacts with Indonesian stations, some of them have reported hearing me even as far as 3,750 kilometers. I have worked IO-86 only with the homebrew Moxon Yagi and not the CP22E antenna. Here are a few audio clips from IO-86 or LAPAN-82 satellite. Thank you. Thank you. 407 November Delta Romeo, V2 Juliet Oscar, you're 5 and 9. Thank you. Yankee Charlie 60 Oscar Juliet, Victor Uniform 2 Juliet Oscar, you're 5 and 9. V3 BGK, V2 JF 5 and 9, 73. Thank you, 73. Thanks a lot to the LAPAN team for early activation of IO86, which gave me and my VU friends as well as 407 November Delta Romeo a good opportunity to work the satellite FM repeater. That was using my 40 10-meter inverted V dipole HF antenna with apex at about 10 meters from the ground. It was only an experiment to demonstrate the feasibility and not a recommended method of LEO satellite operations. I went down by one step. VU to Juliet Oscar. Mike Zulu Tango, Yankee Foxtrot Delta, VU to Juliet Oscar 5 and 9. I think VU to Mike Zulu Tango and Yankee Foxtrot Delta have heard me. VU to Alpha Alpha Papa, VU to JO 5 and 9. I am coming down one more step. So this time I think 3 stations have heard me. Mike Zulu, VU to Mike Zulu Tango, VU3 Yankee Foxtrot Delta and VU2 Alpha Alpha Papa have heard me.
QISS, VU2 GRM.
VU2 GRM, VU2 Juliet Oscar 5 and 9.
CQ, VU2 Golf, Radio Mike. From very strong here. I am getting you a little low only, I don't know why. Up the radio settings for speakers. Thank you. CQ, VU2 Golf.
That was reception of ARIS with a slim Jim VHF antenna which I made using 10 square millimeter copper wire. Some friends in my region had good success with homebrew dual band VHF UHF J-pole antennas as well. One of them took it to VU7 region during a holiday trip. I could work him on International Space Station, my only contact with VU7 so far. In the same pass, he could also work another station in North India at over 2000 km. That station was also using a dual band vertical omnidirectional antenna. There are several LEO satellite operators in this region who use dual band vertical antennas regularly. One ham located in South India has worked Indonesia on IO86. Another ham in North India has worked a lot of DX, including Europe. So it is possible to enjoy LEO satellite operations even with the setup many of us already have in place for working local repeaters.